My Cornwall and Devon adventure has brought me to Dartmoor, one of our last great wildernesses. Really, this is the beating heart of Devon. And today I'm walking between two of its greatest tors. Britain is a walker's paradise, and these two counties are packed with beautiful walks. The best way to see the true landscape of Cornwall and Devon is on foot. Just another epic cove in Cornwall. Going to the places only your walking boots can take you. You've got to follow the wonderful curves of the river. From the subtropics of the Isles of Scilly to the natural wonders of the South Devon coast.
Just makes my heart sing.
I'm with you. And en route, I'll be seeking out the county's most unforgettable views. This is thought to be the oldest surviving beacon in the British Isles. Sampling some of the region's most famous food and drink.
Cheers, everyone.
The jam first, or is it the cream first?
Extreme painting.
And meeting the people
Got it.
Good work.
that make Cornwall and Devon so unique.
So walk with me. It's going to be an adventure you'll never forget. Look at that. This is Dartmoor, and it's huge, slap bang in the middle of Devon. You could fit London in there. I don't want you to, but you could. 368 square miles of wild gorgeousness. Not surprisingly, it's a land of myths and legends, full of stories about witches and dragons. It's the setting for the Hound of the Baskervilles, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is where Harry Potter's Quidditch World Cup was held. I've chosen a classic Dartmoor walk that takes me on a 7-mile loop from Hay Tor to Hound Tor, circling back to Saddle Tor. And I'm going to need a sturdy pair of walking shoes because there's some tricky terrain to traverse, but I guarantee it's worth it. Dartmoor is most famous for its tors. There are 160 of them scattered across the moorland. Towering above us at 1,500 feet, Hay Tor has to be one of the most impressive. Even the royal family have been here. You see these lovely grooves in the granite? Well, they were actually ground out of the granite, apparently, for Queen Victoria. And these grab handles were put in there as well, so that she could get up to the top and take in the views of Dartmoor. You'd think, what a gal, wouldn't you? But apparently when she got here on that day, it was a little bit grey, miserable and wet, so she decided not to. Never mind. Good for me. Thank you, Queen Vic. Hay Tor, like all the other tors, is entirely made of granite, which is hot, molten magma formed in the depths of the earth over 280 million years ago. You see it everywhere here. In fact, 65% of Dartmoor is made of it. With all this lovely granite around us, not surprisingly, it attracts quite a few rock climbers. Hi guys.
Hiya.
Whoa, I thought there might be a little bit of shelter from the wind around here, but no.
No shelter on Dartmoor.
So this is Georgia and Baz, and they're the kind of people I was talking about. They love rock climbing here on Dartmoor. But why Dartmoor? What's special about Dartmoor?
So Dartmoor is quite unique for its climbing style. It's made up of very rounded tors and rock and also fine bits of crystal, and makes it also quite tough on your hands.
Dazzle and amaze us with your spidey skills, Georgia.
Let's see where I get to.
Oh, Georgia's making it look so easy. Look at that. She's up there.
Dancing up it, like a ballerina.
Fair to say that Georgia's a natural then?
Yeah, very natural at climbing, definitely. Julia,
Yeah.
fancy a go? Yeah, down you come, Georgia. Cool.
Right.
My turn. I don't think it's going to be my nutcracker moment, though.
Well, I'm feeling a bit nervous about this because I haven't rock climbed for a long time. And, yeah, anyway.
Take it nice and easy up and just get as high as you can. And then give me a shout when you want to come back down.
All right, then. Right, so Georgia,
Yes.
tips for here, please.
So work your feet up all the little ledges,
Yeah.
and then up the top there by that little bit of grass, that's your best handhold. That one there. Is
Oh,
your
wow, okay, so I've got to go up to my toes. Where does the foot go? Oh. Oh, hang on a minute, I know what I'm doing.
best. That's nice. Oh, that looks really good. Up out on the left, perfect. Nicely done.
Oh,
Cool, you can get, foot can just come round there. And then you can,
oh, I can feel those crystally bits now.
yeah.
They're so sharp, aren't they? Okay. Well, you know what? I think that's as far as I'm going today.
Cool.
Woo! Oh, this is the fun bit.
I think I'm going to stick to the walking from now on.
Oh,
Well
nice.
done.
Well, thank you,
Well
guys.
done.
And the next leg is quite gentle, following a grassy path northeast for a quarter of a mile to pick up the old Haytor granite tramway. A reminder of Dartmoor's industrial past a couple of centuries ago.
So horse-drawn carts would be taken down these tracks, laden with granite, and then unloaded onto barges on the River Tean and shipped to London. And actually in London, there are some really impressive structures that are made out of Dartmoor granite. There's the original London Bridge, Nelson's Column, the National Gallery.
The tramway leads to a hidden gem called Haytor Quarry. Unless you know where to look, it's easy to miss. For 30 years, between 1820 and 1850, granite was ground out of this quarry. It was a hive of industrial activity.
Today, nature has reclaimed back this landscape. And it's so peaceful and tranquil. It's hard to imagine that less than 200 years ago, this place was noisy, busy, dirty, full of men hacking through stone that would eventually get transported across the UK. And this pond was the pit. This was the quarry pit. And now look, it's full of lilies that attract damsel and dragonflies. And people even wild swim in here. The dogs love it.
I'm back on the granite tramway and the next leg of my walk. Continuing northwest for a couple of miles, the trail cuts through the wide open wilderness, past Smallcombe Rocks, before descending into a wooded valley and back up to Hound Tor Down.
Oh, well, the sun has broken through. It's very lovely. That's Haytor, where I started out, looking gorgeous in the glimmering light. There's about 3.5 miles between there and here, which is Hound Tor, but it's a pretty challenging 3.5 miles.
Hound Tor is undoubtedly one of the most famous attractions on Dartmoor. With its ominous rocks, it has a spooky atmosphere. Few places in Britain have such a ghostly reputation as Dartmoor, and one of the most famous stories to come from here is, of course, The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle. Over the green squares of the fields and the low curve of a wood, there rose in the distance a grey, melancholy hill with a strong, jagged summit, dim and vague in the distance, like some fantastic landscape in a dream. Conan Doyle was said to have been influenced by the myths and legends of Dartmoor when he wrote that book, and he's not alone. This evocative landscape has inspired countless artists over the years, including musician Seth Lakeman.
Hi, Seth.
How you doing?
Seth was born and raised here, and he wrote an album about Dartmoor folklore that kick-started his career.
It's spooky up there, isn't it?
It is spooky.
Why is it called Hound Tor, by the way?
These were hounds of Bowerman's Nose. Now, Bowerman was a hunter who was
Right.
turned to stone by the witches, and these are his hounds, forever turned to stone by the witch. So you can see the kind of faces and the figures and the shapes of those hounds. That's the legend, anyway.
Are the legends a part of your everyday life when you're from these parts, or is there sort of a bit of, they're made up for the tourists a bit?
If you're from here, I think it becomes a part of you. I think it draws you into the landscape, to the people, to the past. So I feel very much rooted here, but also indebted to this place.
Just down the road from Hound Tor is the grave of one of the most haunting legends on the moor. Poor old Kitty J.
Is this it?
So this is it, yeah. The grave of Kitty J.
That is not what I was expecting. What on earth is a grave doing here next to a road at a junction with a gate? What is the story then?
We're at a crossroads, yeah. So she couldn't be buried in consecrated ground. She was a young servant girl who hanged herself, committed suicide because she became pregnant by a local landowner, and no one wanted her to take responsibility for her body or anything like that. So she had to be laid to rest here, unconsecrated ground, in between the three parishes that are here.
So poor Kitty, she was the Scarlet Woman. It's a pretty typical story, unfortunately, isn't it? Landed gentry, gets a staff member pregnant, and then she pays the price.
Pays the price, absolutely. It's the, the classic Dartmoor tragedy, really. Yeah, yeah. The beauty of this story, I think, that resonates with people is the fact that fresh flowers appear every morning. No one knows who lays the flowers there, but it's one of the most magical stories that we have on Dartmoor, yeah.
Her legend lives on.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm at the halfway point of my beautiful circular walk across Dartmoor, and I'm heading back in that direction to Haytor, which is where it all began.
The second half of my walk takes me across Holwell Lawn, down into Emsworthy Nature Reserve, and then back up to Saddle Tor. Moors are a uniquely British landscape. We have more moorland than anywhere else on the planet. And walking here, it's easy to forget that this landscape is not truly natural. It's been shaped over thousands of years by the people who've lived and worked here.
You can just make out the remains of an abandoned medieval village down there in the Scoop. It dates back to the 13th century. No one's really sure why the residents abandoned ship. One theory is that it just became too bleak, so they moved on. The other theory is that they were wiped out by the plague, and there are plenty of burial sites around here to support that suggestion. All I know is I don't think I'd have made a very good medieval woman.
3 miles to go to Saddle Tor. The path takes me into the Emsworthy Nature Reserve. Naturalist Nick Baker lives on the moor, and he's passionate about the wildlife that he shares his home with.
I fell in love with this place because where I grew up in East Sussex, all the butterflies are disappearing, and this place is legendary for still having those old features in the landscapes.
And the butterflies, they're clinging on in this area.
Yeah, because of the old landscapes and the fact that it's not intensively managed, it's gentle touch farming, which means a lot of the wildlife species that have gone from the countryside, like the cuckoos, the wheatears, the stone chats, many of the butterflies are still hanging on here.
At the heart of this reserve is this magical spot, the ruins of the abandoned Emsworthy farm.
Look at this, all these crevices, they create sun traps, they create little moisture traps. This is a habitat for all sorts of other creatures as well. Birds will nest in these walls as well, things like the wheat ears. And because there's no cement filling up the holes, it's been put together with like a jigsaw by some skilled stone waller many hundreds of years ago.
The most ubiquitous and famous wildlife on Dartmoor isn't actually wildlife.
It wouldn't really be the Dartmoor experience if you didn't have an encounter with some of these guys, would it?
No, they're pretty omnipresent on the moor.
But they're not wild.
They're not wild, no. Every single one of these has an owner.
Dartmoor ponies have been here forever. Archaeologists found hoof prints dating back 3,500 years, and the 1,500 that live here today do work for a living.
They're quite an important part of the ecology of the open moor and therefore the distinctive wildlife. I don't look at them as fluffy animals. I look at these as these are management tools. That's what these are. They keep the habitat just how we like it. They'll actually graze everything. These little patches, you've got a lawn here and then you've got the rough stuff over there. That's what we want. It creates this diversity of wildlife habitats and therefore you get a diversity of wildlife. So really important.
So not just pretty to look at, but also vital when it comes to maintaining this varied habitat.
That's right, yeah, they really are. And also, nature does it best. So if you can use nature to get what you want out of the landscape, then that's the way to do it.
It's the final push of my circular walk, less than a mile to go, and I'm climbing back up onto the rugged open moorland.
This is it, I've completed the circle. And you can see my whole trail. This is Saddle Tor. There's Hay Tor with walkers silhouetted. There's Hound Tor. This really is the land of myths and legends and mosses and ponies. It's magnificent. It just makes you feel good to take in all this green.
It might look and feel like a complete wilderness, but about 90% of the land here is used for farming. And there's one farm very close to here that's doing something extra special with all this green goodness.
Right, see if you can find the piglets.
I'm keen to pay a visit.
Come on, piglets! Piglets!
Shallowford Farm gives inner city kids a unique opportunity to experience life on a working Dartmoor farm.
Hello, ladies.
Oh, hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Hello.
It's run by Julia and Elithi.
Very noisy.
It's feeding time.
Is it feeding time?
It's feeding
And they're
time.
starving hungry. So welcome.
Tell me, explain to me what you ladies are doing here on this very special farm.
This is a farm that was bought in 1976, and we have children down from all over the country, largely from London, and they come here and we let them run wild and work with animals.
It's wonderful watching the children's faces when they see all this area we live in and the animals, and it's so new.
Incredible. It seems like you're doing such an amazing thing here, ladies. And yes, agreement there from the chorus. Oh, that's it, right. Hi. How's your first day here been?
It's been amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was like refreshing because you know when you live in like London all the time and you have like all the buildings surrounding you all the time. And on the first night we went out for a walk and like you could look up and you'd like literally see all of the stars. It was like the most amazing thing.
Yeah. Because I have trouble breathing sometimes. So like it's better here because like I don't get those problems no more.
The kids are in for a special treat. In one of Shallowford's densely lush fields, a herd of cows have just calved.
Like a little treat for me as well.
I'm about to fall over.
Can you see all the little calves just tucked in between?
Can you see them over there? How many can you see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got some calves here that range from 3 days to 3 weeks old. They're very small.
so if we just walk down really slowly, you'll get to see them, okay?
A calf can see, stand and walk pretty much from birth. So these little fellas will be well aware that we're watching.
Who's excited to see the calves?
I am. They look very small compared to their mums. It's just nice.
This is a really special moment. I'm going to leave them to it.
Dartmoor is one of 15 national parks we can boast in Britain. Vital landscapes we need to treasure and preserve for all time. Now, how do you end a walk like that? With a very large Dartmoor G&T.
Well, what a cracking Dartmoor walk. And now, I'm about to taste Dartmoor in a glass. Oh, yes, rowanberry, gorse, and a few myths and legends chucked in for good measure. Cheers.
I'm on the soft sands of the Isles of Scilly.
Wish I'd packed my bikini. What a beach! I mean, it's unbelievable.
Walking a breathtaking loop of St Martin's.
This is thought to be the oldest surviving beacon in the British Isles.
Before finishing up in subtropical Tresco.
This place is paradise.
We're very lucky.